Hello, everyone. Welcome to my first session, actually, for Google Educator Group Asia Pacific Connect Online Live 2020. First, a little bit of propaganda for you. You can see us there at sites.google.com/ and then view GEG Asia. We've got sessions going on in 10 different languages with a variety of Google tools to help you with remote learning and actually learning for any time in your teaching. This stuff you're learning now, if you're rushing to get into the online learning thing, just keep in mind all these skills you can use later on when we all get back into the classroom with our students face to face, which is what we love the most. So today, this first section from 7 o'clock, as we are on now, it is online quizzes with Google Forms. But if you want to learn a little bit more, you can join us at 8 o'clock. Create a research skills challenge with Google Forms and Google Search. We'll tell you all about that at 8 o'clock. But these are two sessions, deliberately a little bit short, probably about half an hour, but we'll see how we do. So you can take a little break and then come back to the other sessions. So we're going to give you a couple ideas tonight, and hopefully they work for you. Please throw your comments in the chat. I've got my iPad going on here where I can look at your comments and then answer some questions. But we got Way Cool Aaron Knox in, and we've got Dan Ferreira in there. They are Google ninjas. So if you have a question, I'm sure if they're still online, they'll be able to answer for you. But before we really get beginning, first thing that I want to do is say, if you're at home in Japan, we call it onnomi, right? Online drinking. So it's Friday night. Go ahead and grab a glass of wine. Go ahead and grab a beer. If you don't drink, get some orange juice or something that makes you relax as you kind of go through this. And remember, please put your comments in the comment box. And this video will stay on YouTube, so you'll be able to check it out by the time we're finished. So before we move on, just a couple of little things. My name's Nate. Tell you about me in a moment, but I'm here representing Google Educator Group Nagoya. But the whole event is put together by GEGs from all over Asia Pacific. And we have 10 different languages going on, like I said, over the next 3 days. So hopefully you find these things useful and your teaching toolkit becomes a lot bigger, right? So I'm actually a teacher. So all the things that I'm going to show you, I use in my classroom, okay? I teach DP history and individuals and societies, which is kind of social studies for those people who are not into the IB speak. But I also do educational technology consulting with loads of other of my friends around here. I won't get into that because I know you're waiting to get going. So if you are on a mobile right now and you'd like to access this slides deck, you could scan it, but actually I'm going to throw in a moment into the chat a link. In fact, I think I did. Let me just double check. Okay, I'm going to throw in a link right now, and you can access in one Google Doc this slide as well as this slide. We've got a how-to slides deck with animations that can teach you how to do this. But once we show you some examples, we're going to walk you through it anyway. You should walk away thinking, tonight, I can do that. So hold up in one moment, and then we'll throw that doc in for you. First thing first, why are we here? These are 3 simple aims of this session. We're here to understand the basic design of Google Forms. We want to make a Google form and or a kind of form that maybe you haven't made before. In this session, we'll look at quizzes. In the next session, we're going to use research skills for a kind of fun activity that your students are going to love it, trust me. Kids, adults, doesn't matter. And in the comment box, please put your ideas for how you use Google Forms in the classroom or any ideas that you get for how you can use it. So without further ado, we are going to start with quizzes. I'm going to get out of this view and I'm going to go right into a Google form just to give you that little template or to show you how we're doing. But first, I am going to share with you this document here. And the slide deck that I was just showing you, you're going to find at this link. And if you want to kind of play along and fill out the form as I go through it with you, you can go to this link right here, and the how-to slides deck. If you want to figure out how to really get into Google Forms a little bit later, that's always going to be there, so you can have a look there. So let me just quickly throw that into the comments box. Nice to see some teachers meeting each other. All right, so if you were to go to this first form right here, hey, we already have what? An anonymous penguin. All right, let's get some aardvarks and caterpillars in there. So the first form, the first thing we're going to do is kind of walk you through a Google form, how it looks like, or how it looks through the lens of the user, the lens of the student. Uh, Now, the view that you're going to get is the user view. Okay, so feel free to go ahead and fill it out. We're going to see as people do this little responses box open up, and then we're going to show you how you can make a form and then how you can deal with the responses for grading and assessment. Okay, so feel free, don't hesitate. Go ahead and use that form. If I was to do it this way with this topic, I would give my students some prior learning, right? So I have that how-to slides deck there. You know, you could go to that and then try the quiz, submit responses, and then let your students try it again. How do you do that? You ask. We will get back to that in a little bit later. So going to give people a moment to access this and access the doc. Great. We've got, what do we have? We have iguanas. We've got, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Cabia. Okay, jackalopes. All right, and chinchillas. Who doesn't like chinchillas, right? Okay, so again, we're on this one right here, and this is the form that you were looking at. So I think it's okay to start. We're not going to teach you just yet how to make all this stuff pretty. You can learn that later. So within Google Forms, when you create your title of your form, a better title than this perhaps, you want to put your instructions in there, right? So you read the instructions and then the students go. Now you notice here, I've got the form broken up into part 1 and way down here into part 2, a wrap up. Now there's another feature that allows you to break down your form. We'll show that to you later because I wanted to keep this demonstration as easy as possible. So first of all, we've got our, so we've separated into our sections. And if I'm going a little bit too quickly, folks, please put something in the, hey, Anna Flanagan, put something in the comments box so I know I have to slow down or whatever, right? In fact, I'll put my iPad right there. So here's the first kind of question. It's one of the simpler ones, right? It's a checkbox. The nice thing about checkbox questions is that you can make it challenging. It's not one checkbox. It could have multiple answers. So let's see what happens. I'm going to tap. Whoops, I'm in the wrong view here. Okay, this is the view I want you in. Sorry, folks, I've led you astray. We'll go back to that in a moment. So I'm going to check off the answers that I think are the correct ones. And I notice right up here, as the student uses it, oh, that one's worth 2 points. Okay, so you can add point values to this. You could also not have point value. You could have just formative questions mixed in a bag with summative questions, right? Nice to see new people jumping in. So we scroll down a little bit, and here's the second kind of question. This is a multiple choice question, okay? So you notice my instructions are choose the correct answer, and then a little description for you. So this is a multiple choice question, and you can have as many answers as you want. So this is where you'd put your yes, no questions, or choose 1 out of 4, 1 out of 8, even if you really want to, play with people. But in this question, you can only have one possible answer, right? So actually, I'm going to go with no on that one just to see. Now, something else in a Google form you can do is embed a video, right? Now, the thing that I recommend is you put the video first with instructions. Watch the video below and answer the next question, right? And this one is on Google Forms grading with very poor resolution there. And so then they would go down to the next question. You notice I haven't named them, question 1, question 2. You might want to choose to do that. But here's another one, okay? This is an example of a multiple choice grid. So this one here, you notice I've written, this is a formative question with no point value. Check all that apply. And the way you can set this one up is that students must answer at least one column, right? Well, or answer all columns, I should say. So that means they have no choice but to do it, right? So I look at my options, creating an answer key. Oh, yeah, that was easy. Inserting automatic feedback. Yeah, no problem. I got that one. And then automatic grading. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. And then the manual grading. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Now, because this question is formative, the nice thing is what I can do is, as the teacher, when I look at all the responses, I can use that one to gauge, okay, what is it about this topic my students don't quite get? Now, you can also put in, I'm going to show you later, paragraph answers or one-word answers, and that's where you can add your own grade to it, or if you would like, just some kind of formative feedback. So another thing that you can do is put in images. And if you notice in the top right, the area where you actually work in a Google form, it's this area I'm talking about right here. I don't have my add-ons. Oh, where have my add-ons gone? Okay. Uh, you can put images in. You generally do have to put some kind of text in there, picture one, picture two. So you choose whatever answer you want. So I'm going to go with a puzzle piece. Um, the next one we have is a checkbox grid, right? So again, you have your criterion on the left side here, and then you've got your options on the right in your columns. So what's this for? Is it useful for this? I mean, this could be, it needs one response per row. Oh, that pointed out right away that I've got to respond to all of them. So I've activated that feature, and that's kind of a nice thing. Let's see, video analysis. Yeah, video responses. Maybe it's okay for an essay. I'll put that there. Depends on who you are. Wink, wink. Okay. And now the next one that we're looking at is a drop-down question, right? So you can choose, and if you carefully craft this, it can be a good question. Challenge people to think logically. What logically would be the best way to to create a Google form? What's the best process? Let me think, right? So let's see, learn how to use forms, then write my questions, then create a Google form. I've looked at all three. I'm going to go with this one. These ones have only one answer. Notice here, though, I've decided to give it 3 points. Ooh, heavy weighting, right? So now we're getting a little bit down to the bottom of our form here. And so maybe in the end, I want to kind of get an idea of what people are thinking, right? Now, for this one, scale of 1 to 10, I haven't set a value on this, okay? So let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to use a Google form in one of your classes? Should have put a question mark there. Oh, go back and edit, Gildart. But of course, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to click 10. And before I click my submit button right here, I'm going to point out one thing. You notice I don't have a little red asterisk at the bottom of all my questions. Now, if you want, you can require that the students have to respond to all of the questions. And it's just a little slider button that we'll show you in a moment that's really useful if you're like, nope, you have to answer this question. You don't have to do that for all the questions, which is a nice feature. So I'm ready to roll. I'm confident. I'm going to click submit. And voila, the form is done. But I'm not finished as the student because I set this up in a way that I can give feedback. Nice to see people looking over here. Formative no point value questions. Dan, I agree with you. I like no point value questions, right? Because all our learning is formative in the end, right? Just Google it, will you? Okay, so I'm kind of nervous. I took the quiz. Now, you might be a teacher where you choose to do a Google form quiz and it's going to be graded. Yes, you can do that. You might be a teacher where you want to do it for summative evaluation. One example of what I do is before I teach a unit, I give a quiz to the students with no background knowledge expected, and I see what they know because they've learned a little bit before, probably. And then when we finish the unit, I give them the exact same quiz. And you can set up your quiz so that the students, they get their responses, right? I set this one up so that you are going to get your responses emailed to you. But I just can't wait. I got to see my score right now. The nice thing about that last idea, though, is that students can compare and see that they actually have learned. What's my score? Don't. I only got 5 out of 10. What's going on with that? Look at that. I only got 5 out of 10. I think I'm going to cry. Okay. As we go down, what I like about Google Forms is that the teacher can actually give the feedback. So the first one, I got 2 out of 2. But you notice here, in the feedback, right? And again, this is what the student sees, right? In the feedback, I've got a video that I've linked, and I've got my feedback. It says, awesome, you can access Google Forms from Drive by typing Google Forms in the Omnibox. Learn more at the video linked. So this video I actually linked. you can add a website link or you can add a YouTube video to your responses. It's good to reinforce a correct response, and it's also good to help students go somewhere to learn what they didn't understand, right? And what happens though when you don't get the question right? Okay, well, look at my second question. I got that wrong. You can send a form via email, link, social media embedding. I got it wrong, and it's telling me I got it wrong. The correct answer is yes. And here's the feedback. Whoops, these are all options for sharing your Google form. I want you to notice something. Um, this feedback is what you're going to get if you are incorrect. And this is the feedback that you get if you are correct. But I will point out, my method of doing it is for feedback to make things go quickly. I always choose the correct answer. I just write out the exact same answer. And for the incorrect feedback, I put whoopsie or not quite, keeping it positive. And for the correct answer, I put yes, you got it. And then I just paste the same response because let's face it, the response is the same, right? Or, the correct answer is the same, I probably should say. So now I'm looking at my next one and I see my radio buttons are there. So that was the one where I didn't put any formative fee or any response to it. If you wanted feedback in there, then you could just make the point value 0, and then you can add into the answer key. How do you make an answer key, you ask? We're going to get there. Going down to the next one. Okay, I got this one right. So again, I've got the check mark here, and I've got my positive feedback. Hey, look, apparently I rock. Okay, and so I'm going down to my next one. And this was the checkbox activity. And you notice here that I got 2 of them right and 1 of them wrong. Okay, so it doesn't give me my score up here. That's okay. I can go back and change that as the teacher. Let's go down to the next one. And of course, it's told me what the correct answers are. The essay response, Google Forms is probably not the best place to have students paste an essay. A link maybe, but not the essay. And again, I got 0 out of 3 on this one because I got that one wrong. Well, and there is my response that I can see from the radio button. So there's the student view or the user view, student view of using the form. Let me just take a quick little look here. All right. Yep. All options for sharing forms. Yes. ACT English program, ERL. All right. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to have a look at the form here because now I'm at the view where you construct the form. And this is what we call NRT, Nate's rest time. Maybe NBT, NCBT, Nate's craft beer time. Yeah. Okay. So now let me show you how this stuff is made. Okay. And it's pretty straightforward. Now I deliberately did not put in 2 kinds of questions because I want to show you how this stuff is made. Okay. So right here, I'm just going to tap into, well, first let me draw your attention to this stuff on the side here. Okay. These are your options of what to put in. First one, this is where you're going to get your questions, and you just hit plus, and then you change your question later. We'll show that. You can import questions from another form or from a Google Doc. You can create titles and descriptions. You can add images, videos, and a section. What's a section, you ask? We'll show you that in a bit. So here you've got the form that I've constructed. But let's say I want to go in and add another question, right? I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click plus. And because I tapped above, it's going to put my form in below. So let's see. I'm going to make this a short answer question. And watch this. Watch this area right here. The multiple choice question is default, by the way. How much do you love Google Forms? Get that typed properly. All right. And do you notice that it automatically went to a linear scale? Because Google kind of thought, hey, that looks like it might be a question that you could put a number on, right? Now I have a linear scale down below, so I'm not going to use that for this one. I am going to use a short answer because then people can say, oh yeah, I really like it, it's fun, or Google Forms are useful. Here I've got my answer key because it is a quiz. maybe I want to make this a required question. Well, that's that little slider that I told you about, right? So I could turn that on, and then now it's a question that they must answer. They cannot submit the form until that little puppy has been slid over to the right. Now, there's another thing that you want to think about. I have the option for an answer key, but that's because I turned it into a Google Form quiz. We'll show you that in just a moment, okay? But note here that I've got a description for the question or some kind of instructions. Well, in Google, in all their tools, these three little buttons right here, the three little dots, they are your friend. If you tap on that, you can just click on description, and then you can type your instructions, right? And again, I don't type very well. Be honest, you love it. All right, let me try to actually type that properly. So you definitely want to be thinking about the instructions that you give your students. They might need it. Sometimes the question just really isn't enough. Let's say I wanted a longer answer. Well, then I just have to go into short answer, and I'm going to change that to paragraph. And what that's going to do is give them more space to actually type out. Hey, we got some responses. Yay, it wasn't just me. Um, so that essentially is how forms works. But the last thing that I wanted to tell you first, because this is something I tend to forget until I've made my form, is up here at the top at that gear wheel. This is where you have to go to make your form a quiz. Now, the purpose of this session isn't to go through all the different features in Google Forms. It's just setting up your quiz. So you're going to click on that gear wheel and you get your settings. And this is where you can automatically collect their email addresses. Watch what happens when I do that. If I want, I can collect response receipts. And if I want to force you to get a receipt, I click always. So that means when you submit your form, you are going to get your answers back at you. If I want, maybe I give them a time limit. I don't want them running around the internet trying to find answers. I might limit it to just one response. I'm not going to be that mean. Maybe you want to give a time limit, but let them edit it. So they could edit after they submit as well. And if you want them to see a summary of all the responses, not the names, but the responses of everybody else, they can gauge how they compare to the rest of the class. I literally never use that because students comparing themselves to each other drives me crazy. Why, do you ask? Well, as we know as teachers, it's the student against themselves, right? It's them building their own knowledge. It doesn't really matter what the person next to you is doing when it comes to constructing your own knowledge, right? So I'm going to click save, and now that form is saved a little bit. Okay. And while I'm here, I'm just going to show you a few other little things. Now, I pointed out where you can add a video. So let's say I wanted to put a video maybe under this first part one. Okay, I'm just going to click on add video. As you know, you can add an image and a title. This is the title that I added, right, with a description. Lovely stuff. I'm just going to add a video. One thing that you know is you can search the net. I like moose. I'm from Canada. I don't know. Moose just came into my head. And then I can find, oh, look at that, a moose that probably drank too much beer. Who knows? If you already have the URL, then you can just go in and you can paste in the URL. Oh, but this is a Google Doc. Didn't work for me. It must be a YouTube channel, or sorry, a YouTube video. Can you embed a playlist? No. That's probably a good thing. I recommend too, if you embed videos, keep them short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? And you notice here we have our email address validated there. You have to send your email address in. Now, I also want to show this thing with sections. If you want, you can add a section, and I'm going to add it right here. Okay, so I'm going to click add a section, and now it says section. Okay, now what does this do? This means the student must respond, or the person or the user has to respond to the question before moving on to the next part. So I might probably call that part one and then the topic. And then I might give a description and, ooh, TOEIC, no topic. Gotta love Grammarly, right, Aaron Knoxon? Let me just see if we got any other comments in here. Yeah, Canadian Moose, woohoo, techie teacher trainer, because you're Canadian too. Um, so, uh, so if you put these sections in, let's say I put another section in just down here. I add another section, and I'm going to call it part 2. And I'll put the topic of that second section and then my description. That means I can't move on. The user doesn't move on until this part has been done. If you're here at the session from 8 o'clock, you're going to see how that works because it must be done for the activity I'm going to show you. Okay. And again, it's an activity my kids love, so you might want to come in for that. Now, the last question you might be having is, okay, how do I see the responses? Well, I go up here, right next to questions, there's responses. Hey, they kind of go together, right? So you tap on that, and I take a drink. And I'm just going to click, yeah, got it, because I've been here before. So now here's the thing. If you are timing your quiz, you might do it in class even, right? Say, okay, you got 10 minutes, ready, go. And then when the 10 minutes is done, you have 1 minute left. And then you get 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And then you just tap that, and you're not accepting responses anymore. Okay. Now you can get this nice little summary. So, hey, the average was 5.5. So somebody else got 6 out of 10 on the quiz, and I got 5 out of 10. Oh, woe is me. I'm supposed to be the teacher here. So you get the average, median, the range, just for that teacher bird's eye view. This is really great for that pre-unit quiz that I mentioned earlier, right? Because at the beginning of a unit, I can just very quickly look and go like, oh, okay, the overall score was this. And then I can go down to the frequently missed questions. It gives it to me right there, right? Oh, what? The essay response? Okay, I better talk about that with my students. And then you can go and look at the analytics, if you will, of the responses. And then that can give you a sense of what you have to go over as a teacher. We're not quite finished yet, though, right? If you click on a question, then you can look at how students did by question. So I've got my little my arrows here, so I can tap and I can just go through and see all of the students' responses. Let's say we had 15 students finish this form. You would be able to scroll down and see all of the different responses, right? That just gives you a view of the responses, though, not the individuals. But again, it's a bird's eye view of how the whole class did. And you just do that by clicking next, next, next. Now, if you want to see how an individual did, all you got to do is click here, and then you can see who. Now, I didn't click names. You know, in a form, you might want to add names and email addresses and things like that. But then I can look at the individual and all the responses they got. These are mine. I don't know who the anonymous person was, but let's have a look, right? They got the same one wrong that I did. Did they miss up the other ones too? So that allows you, like I said, to look at the individual responses, right? So now we're going to go up here because you want to know, how do I get this into a spreadsheet? How do I grade it? Well, the good people at Google, right? They auto-generate a spreadsheet for you. Just quickly looking at the things here. Oh, is ACT English right? Okay, hey, thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is tap on this. And if you were to give a quiz to students, you know, to work on over a weekend or an activity, this is where you can get notifications when a new response comes in. Let's say you're waiting on 5 students and you're like, damn it, they haven't given me their work yet. They haven't done the form or the quiz. Then you can get those notifications. I don't do that myself. This is where you can download your responses. I myself, I don't do that. You know, I don't print them either. What I prefer to do is click right here, and you have the choice to create a new spreadsheet or open one that already exists for it to be put into a new tab. So let's say you've got several forms for one class and you want all of them into one place. You would check select existing spreadsheet. But for myself, I'm going to create a new one. All right, so I'm just going to click create, and voila, it creates for me a nice new spreadsheet. And here is where you get your score. And all you have to do is kind of cut and paste that into whatever, system you're using for grading. Let me just double check down here. And let me just want to pull out a few more things that you might want to think about here. Whoops, I'm always going to the wrong thing here. Um, Sorry, I should probably stay in this place. So here you go. This is where you can see the answers and the responses from the students. And again, this is where you would find your anecdotal ones. Okay. And again, you get the timestamp. I forgot to add that. And I didn't have the email address in there when I first showed it to you. Okay. So let's go right back here, right? And I just want to show you these three dots. I guess this was more of a full Google Forms quizzes thing, right? This is where you can make a copy of the same quiz. If you want, though, in the responses, notice the three dots. You can delete all the responses if you want right down here. So you don't have to actually make a new form or make a copy. I tend to make a copy because I have multiple classes. And there's other things called add-ons. We're not going to get into that right now because that's not really part of the session. But I will show you a couple of things in the slides deck. So I encourage you to play around with this stuff a little bit. If you want to preview what you've made, this is what you press, your preview button right here. Just tap that because it doesn't take any time. Right, so this is what your form looks like before you actually send it to people. And remember, I made that change, so I have to actually give my my email address before I can move on, right? And then I have to fill out all of these before I can move on again, right? So just to show you that that form has changed. Let's see, and if you want to change your color and put some pretty pictures and that, this is where you can do it, and you can work with your theme, changing the fonts and all that. But that's for you to play with. Let me just kind of run back here. We're almost done there, folks, because I want to give time in between the sessions here. So we just had a look at quizzes. So if you would like, you can kind of have a look at, oh my goodness, I didn't put it out. Woe is me. I'm not 100% prepared. That would have been like a, what, B- now? Okay, so our next session is going to be on some research skills, but I am going to put an example quiz here for you, and it's actually not going to be conflict. I'm going to do it on well, maybe I'll do it on conflict, but you can pop back and see what that might look like as the student again, or just go to the form that I just showed you. So going right back to this, I'm going to wrap things up now, give myself a chance to breathe, give you a chance for your ears to rest because that's been pretty rapid fire. Remember, you can go back to this same YouTube link and you can look at this at any point in time. As you watch through, you can look at the comments. Please, if anybody has an idea, before I end the broadcast, how do you use Google Forms in your class? I'm going to show you how I do in this session next by creating a research skills challenge with Google Forms and Google Search. It's kind of cool. So before we let you go until 8 o'clock, for some of you, I hope, Google Educator Group Asia Pacific Connect, 3 days, 10 different languages. Go to the GEG Asia Pacific Connect website. Just Google it, scroll down. It's not the Facebook. Go to the website on Google Sites, and you will see a list. And before I actually end the broadcast, I will put the link in that document and in the comments box for you. Hopefully there's something for everybody over the next 3 days. Thanks a lot for joining, and great stuff. Thanks a lot, Dan. Good to see you. Hey, Sanjeev, thank you. Thanks, folks. Great to see you too, Aaron. And thanks, Georgina. Great to see you. Can't remember exactly everybody that I'm looking at. Spreadsheet function. Yeah, it is so useful for PP5, right? I'm not sure what PP5 is. Maybe put that in the comments, but definitely useful. B1 make it. All right. Glad this was useful for you. Let me get that GEG Asia Pacific in that site's link for you in the comment box, and that way you can go back to it and see exactly what's going on in 10 different languages. How cool is that, right? And I'm going to go directly to the online events, and you can scroll down, and in these Google Sheets, once it loads, you'll be able to scroll and get a good read on what's going on in the next couple of days. We got Dan Ferreira is going to be speaking for us. You got Georgina who's on the call right now. You can see what she's got going on. And as you can see, we're updating in real time. So let's get that in the comment box. Thank you. Thanks very much, Ms. Mafe Lualhati. I hope I pronounced that correctly. All right. Thanks, folks. We're going to end the broadcast right there. But remember, really appreciate you jumping in, and we can use these tools for the future.